Welcome. Thanks for tuning in. I'm super thrilled to be here with you today, Jen, because we're getting into something that honestly, I don't think neither of us had really planned to talk about publicly, but here we
Mm-hmm.
are. And
Here we are.
here we are. Our topic today is what it feels like when you've outgrown the room that you're in, right? The job, the community, the professional chapter, but you haven't left yet. And what it's like when you find yourself in that in-between space that nobody really names out loud because it's really hard to define. And we ultimately chose this topic because we've both lived it. And
Yep.
we keep having conversations with clients, friends, peers, and we're realizing this is something people need to hear because it's so common, and yet it can feel incredibly isolating and alone when you're in it. So we're planning on pulling back the curtain a little bit, share some personal stories, some coaching perspectives, and hopefully something that meets you right where you are if you're in that space right now. And so we'll introduce ourselves really quickly and then we'll get to the topic. I'm Teresa Fuchs Santiago. I'm an executive career and leadership coach and the founder of the Courage Space, where I work with senior leaders who are navigating uncertain moments in their career leadership journeys. And I help them meet these uncertainties with courage and more confidence. Jen, tell us a little about yourself.
Well, I'm so excited for this conversation today, Teresa. I'm Jen Shaw, and I am a creative leadership coach. So I work with creative executives and senior creative leaders in the fashion industry who are navigating career transitions or might be stepping into a larger or newer role. And this inflection point, Teresa, that you talked about is like right where many of my clients are. It's where I spent, the last year or two of my career in corporate design as a VP, and it's just such a topic that needs unpacking.
Absolutely. So how do you know that you've outgrown the room, Jen? Let's start there. I think it's people are always looking for a dramatic big sign, but it might actually be a lot more subtle than that, right?
I think it's really subtle. I think it's really nuanced. I know from my own experience, it was kind of like this questioning in the background that got a little louder over time,
Mm.
that even though I was in a job that I loved, I was in a company that I loved, with a team that I loved, doing product that I loved, there was this thing in the back of my head that said, maybe something else is out there. Maybe something needs to change. So it was kind of over time kept building. And I've heard the same from a lot of my clients. It's less of an event that happens. It's more of this cumulative effect where things build on each other over time.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, for me too, it's just this tiny little voice that starts showing up, right? And you
Mhm.
you you start noticing that maybe you don't care about the things you used to care about before as much, right? You're less curious, you're less engaged, whatever in whatever way it manifests. And I think it can be really disorienting because it's not how I used to know myself or used to think of myself. And then you start noticing this and you're just wondering what the heck is going on, right? So
Mhm.
it can be just really challenging when that voice starts being present, I find.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it is disorienting when that questioning of what am I doing here? Why do I care less? That carries a bit of weight with it because it's not who we are as people. We get into these roles and we get into this industry because we care. And so when that caring and that curiosity goes down, you start to question yourself a little bit. You've mentioned it in previous conversations, Teresa, around a bit of grief and a bit of who am I now in this process?
Yeah, I think that's it's just hard to have to admit to yourself that this one thing that has fulfilled you and has kept you going and has been really energizing for so long now starts shifting, right? And
Yeah.
it's not feeling the same way anymore.
Yeah.
And you start to question what it is. And it initially, sometimes it's really, really hard to put a finger on that. So it makes sense, I think, that we, um, meet this moment of becoming also with a bit of a sense of grief, because it also means that eventually we're going to have to let go of something. And maybe we don't even know that consciously yet. Um, but I think subconsciously we're realizing that this is the end of something and the beginning of something new.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a disorienting space. Trying to find yourself in there is tough.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
How did you navigate? I mean, I know you've been through this journey. Again, we've talked about it, right? But what felt most hard to leave behind for you in those moments?
The sense of security for sure. The
Mm,
sense of like knowing what my everyday was going to look like, the sense of security of being in the same community for years and years, the sense of security of being in a company that I really liked, and leaving all of that behind and stepping into something new was a big and painful decision.
yeah. Yeah. It's the security. I think these are the practical things, right? And in one part, there's the practical
Yeah.
side of, stability, feeling like you have, income that supports you and your family. And then there's the deeper, I guess I call them more identity elements of that whole equation of like realizing, okay, when I take myself outside of this, who am I actually? And
Yeah.
and then I think also figuring out, okay, if this is not what I want anymore, what do I want? And that clarity is not always so on the surface, right? You have to dig for it.
You have to dig for it. And I'm so glad you took this beneath the practical stuff.
Hmm.
Um, I think the practical stuff is often what psychologically gets us stuck. But the hum of noise underneath that is, who will I be in this new chapter? What does she look like? What does she want? What if she fails on
Hmm.
what feels like an epic level for everybody to bear witness to? That is all there.
It's heavy. It's heavy. How long did it take you to come to a realization that it was time to shift? I'm just
About
curious
three
because I'm
years.
how
For
many?
me, it was about 3 years
3 years. Wow.
of
Yeah.
noodling on it and thinking about I went through this whole phase of what is within my control to change, and that was me. And so I did a ton of work on what can I change as Jen in her current role, like
Hmm.
how can I refresh the lenses that I use to show up to work every day? What skills do I need to like level up? What do I need to pay attention to? So it started with me, and you know that kept me in place for a while. But there was a point in there when I knew I had to make a decision, because that feeling of there's something else wasn't going away. And so
Yeah.
I knew in there that I had to make that choice. And that period leading up to making that choice was really difficult and gut-wrenching and painful. Once I made the choice, it felt liberating.
Mm. Yeah.
Terrifying, but liberating at the same time, because I had made the decision. So I think that period leading up to the decision is often the most difficult one. How
Yeah, I
about
agree.
you?
It definitely wasn't a quick, easy thing. This also, when I look back, it was years in the making, right? And it started to manifest in certain ways. And then you think you're making a change, but it's not big enough, and the voice keeps coming back. And so you have to keep investigating again and again, like what's actually underneath all of this? What do
Yeah.
I really, what am I longing for here that is not
Yeah.
being met, right? So it's this constant becoming aware, accepting, and then continuing to evolve. It becomes kind of a process that you really have to go through and embrace. And like you said, it's not easy. It's super challenging. There's a lot of letting go that comes with that, but at the same time, there's a lot of embracing new opportunities. And I think that's what makes it easier to know, right? Eventually, you're not moving or shifting from a feeling of fear, but you're shifting just from a sense of knowing and having arrived at a decision that just feels absolutely right, no matter how long it takes. But I think it's good to also for our listeners to understand that this can take a while, right? So just be patient with yourselves.
Be patient with yourselves. Give yourselves grace. Give
Yeah.
yourself a hall pass that some days are going to feel really exciting and some days are going to feel really hard. Um, you know, Teresa, you outlined something there that stands out to me, which is there's also the idea of, are you running from something or are you running to something?
Yes.
And when the idea of running to something sounds more appealing, that's the voice to pay attention to. When we're running from something, that bears investigating.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Beautifully said. Well, we have to start wrapping up soon. I know this is a short conversation, but I'm actually curious, if our listeners and watchers are finding themselves in a serious, a similar situation, what can they do? Where do they start?
I think the first place to start is paying attention and noticing, even writing down on a daily basis, just real quick, what's giving you energy and what's draining it. And where are you giving energy and where are you draining it? Because we're always all either giving energy or we're taking energy. Both are okay, but if there's not some kind of a balance in there, it's worth looking into.
Yeah. I love that. And following the energy is always so powerful,
Yeah.
right? And I think also just starting to name and admit what it is that you're actually feeling. When you're able to, uh, put language to what's going on the inside, things start becoming more clear. And I think I also want to normalize that it's not about needing to feel badly about this, right? This is really outgrowing
Yeah.
something is not a betrayal. It's not ingratitude. It's just the natural course of how we as humans develop. And it's a beautiful thing to embrace. But yes, start with noticing the energy, start with naming it. And then maybe is there a question you can leave people with, Jen, that they should be asking themselves?
Yeah, the most powerful question that my coach asked me during my decision making period was, think ahead to a year from now. What would your life look like if nothing changed? And what would it look like if you'd moved through this inflection point?
Mm,
That future vision really gave me pause. And it's been incredibly powerful for some of my clients as well. And I would add to that question, as you think to make this change, how do you want to leave?
yeah.
How do you want that process to look? Because you can control that to a large degree, and you have agency in that.
Beautiful. I mean, what a wonderful way to end this. Thank you for spending time with me on this conversation. I hope to anybody watching that some of what we were talking about landed with you. We'd love to hear about it. Reach out, share with someone who's in that in-between space. Let them know that they're not alone. And please feel free to connect with us. We're both on LinkedIn. We'd love to hear from you and sharing your stories.
Absolutely. Teresa, what a treat. This
Thank
has
you,
been
Jen.
amazing.
Absolutely. I look forward to
Yeah.
more.
Yes, same.
Thank you.
Thank you.